Talk Show.
You can't go in on it because he will grill you.
And
he will
rip you
tear
to
you
shreds.
down.
That's right.
He's very clever, too.
One of the greatest treasures in the world of righteous consciousness.
And now,
Today's discussion.
Get rid of that. And I'm hoping that's what I think it is. Right. Where are we? War on gangs. Gangs. Making our life a misery. These gangs. Yeah. Last week we wanted to speak about it. It came out last week. I bet was it? No, week before last. What was last week? Wednesday the 7th of Feb. Boris Johnson announced that he would be spending £60 million. Committing £60 million of your parking ticket money and your congestion charge money. Oh, and yeah, and your taxes. Ain't they all the same thing? Yeah, he'd be spending £60 million of that money to employ or divert police resources and probation officer resources and youth justice resources and youth worker resources and outreach worker resources into targeting gangs in London. This initiative is going to be labelled Trident Gang Crime Command. It's an enhancement of Trident, which is supposedly a war on black crime, even though... Yeah, what, should I get into that? Yeah, I just have a problem with that name, black on black crime, because the majority of crimes that white people experience is from white people, innit? But they don't call it white on white crime, do they? And I'm not trying to negate the fact that there's a lot of violence amongst young black men. Just saying there's a lot of violence amongst young white men. But yeah, anyway, Trident Gang Crime Command. I've got a little clip here from the news. I probably should play that, innit? I will play it. And then we'll come back. I'll summarise the points and we can have about 15 or 20 minutes on this initiative. What you think about it? What is Boris Johnson trying to achieve? Will it benefit us? Will it change anything? Issues of that nature. It's not a black thing. Even though it's called Trident, it's not a black thing. It's representative. That's what he said. Representative of London. So if 70% of the people involved in gangs are black, and it's not a black thing, and it's representative of London, is he, in a roundabout way, telling us that London is 70% black? 60 million. Do you know how many Ferraris you can buy with 60? Do you know how much trees and moats you can put in your back garden with 60 million pounds? Seriously. That's a lot of money. Do you know what kind of property that will get you in Kensington? Oh, sorry. The rich no longer live in Kensington. They're moving out to Surrey. Do you know what kind of property that could get you in Surrey? Seriously, well, they've been checking the police map. Yeah, they might have a place in Kensington where they stay in the week, but families out in Surrey. 250 gangs in London, 4,800 gang members. To the 4,800, not 4,821, you know, 4,800. 70% young black men. And according to the police, it's not a black thing, it's reflective of the demographic. Chisora! Derek Chisora kisses Carl Baker in a weigh-in. Says, I'll make you my... Grabs him round the head. Kisses him full on the lips. Full on the lips, like... Yeah. Johnny Nelson said it could have caused a riot. He should never have done that. He's got previous, this Chisora. He was banned last year for biting Paul Butland. He got 4 months ban. In the ring, he tried to bite his ear like Tyson. This is a 28-year-old Derek Chisora. He must have been 27 then. The gentleman who had a boxing fight with Vitaly Klitschko on Saturday. Good fight. David Haye is a salesman, blah, blah, blah. I'm coming down to talk to you. He comes down, and David Haye hits him with a right, a left, a right, grabs him around the back of the head, pulls him down, runs around the corner, then picks up the tripod stands and hits his trainer in the head, then runs again, and the trainer comes, and the trainer gets two lefts, and it was better than the real fight. What are your thoughts on the Chisora and Haye fight after the fight? Who was to blame?
Yeah. Just on that quick thing, I never really see
fight. I just hear about the news about this David and whatever, this boy, and you just saying that he came there to do a little press commentating. So I don't know how you get pinned up in this boy's face.
Say that again?
If you're not, I don't know how you end up, you know, in this argument with this clip, whatever this boy. I don't know his name. As I said, I didn't watch the fight, but I heard the news. So I don't know how he's there doing commentating on the boxing, and they end up fighting this boy or whatever. I really don't understand that. I mean, I thought he retired.
UK, it's about that time.
Final thoughts and my final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
My final thoughts. Tonight's final thought. Now it's time for my final thought.
Now it's time. Now it's time for God's final thoughts. Final thoughts. Final thoughts.
Thoughts. War on gangs. Trident Gang Crime Command. Now, we've already explained that more young men die from suicide than any other cause. This is about Boris Johnson, the current mayor of London, bringing forward this initiative to curb gang crime in London. And he gave a whole lot of stats of how black men are 70% and 50% of the victims are black, and so on and so forth, etc., etc. But what they don't say is that more young men die from suicide than any other cause. Than murder, stabbing, whatever you want to name. There's more men in London and in England dying from suicide. Why hasn't the mayor tackled that? Why hasn't he spent some of the 60 million he's spending on hiring people to fight gang crime on hiring psychologists and counsellors to cut the suicide rates? After all, more are dying from suicide than gang crime. There's a thing in politics, it's called dog whistle politics. It's the same strategy Boris Johnson used when he ran the first time and won against Ken Livingstone. At that time, he attacked Lee Jasper and highlighted the Brixton base and all these black organisations that was getting money from Lee Jasper. Now, what that does is it sends a message to people who have stereotypes in their heads. It sends a message to people who believe that blacks are criminals and fraudsters and so on and so forth. It sends a message that I don't like those people. So what invariably you're saying is, if I don't like those people, then you can like me because I'm one of you. It's called dog whistle politics. Dog whistle being that a human cannot hear the dog whistle. Only the dog can hear the dog whistle. So effectively, Boris is the dog, and those who live in the outskirts of London, Greater London, right, around M25, they are dogs. And the message Boris is sending is a dog whistle message that only dogs understand. I'm going to attack something where black people predominate. I'm going to attack something that plays on your fears and plays on your stereotypes in order to win your vote, to send you a message that I am down with you. He's appealing to the stereotypes they hold, blacks and criminals, and to their fears in order to win their votes. But he disguises it in a gesture of claiming to help black boys. Black boys are the victims. This is not a black thing. It's representative of all London. If you want to help black boys, spend the money on reducing suicide, Boris. Because more black boys die from that than from crime. So it ain't about helping us. It's about sending a dog whistle message to those voters. And watch it. There will be a racial connotation to everything he does leading up to this mayoral election in May. I assure you, that is a strategy to galvanize the votes of those people who don't like inner city youth, are afraid of inner city youth, and believe the crap that they see in the news about inner city youth. Because even the news ain't talking about the suicide rates. They don't qualify the crime rates by saying, however, more youth are dying from suicide. On Chisora and Haye, what I think, and I've got about 3 or 4 minutes on that. On Chisora and Haye, 2 things. This is what I think. There are 2 things every African British boy and man should learn. I don't care. When I say African British, I mean black British, right? It's African British. It's a new talk, right? There's 2 things every one of us should know. If we know everything's fine, but these are the 2 things. 1, a precise martial arts, e.g. Qigong, Jiu-Jitsu, Aikido, Wing Chun, something along those lines. Every one of us from a young age, from 7, 8, should be learning that to black belt level, I tell you, right? And you're learning it so you can gain control and awareness under pressure. control and awareness. You're aware of what's going on around you, and you're aware of how you're feeling, what emotions are stimulated in you when you are under pressure. The second thing they should learn is to play chess. Because chess will help you plan strategies. It will help you with long-term planning. This is why Lennox Lewis played chess. This is why the Klitschko brothers played chess. Deep thinkers. They're thinking on another level. 5 moves, 6 moves, 10 moves ahead. Why? Because African British men are terrible at sustaining the industries they've built, or the industries that they make a living from. I say it again. Black British men are terrible, crap, rubbish, useless at sustaining the industries they've built. Here's a proof. Compare ragga, hip-hop and R&B, which lasted 50 years, which has lasted 50 years, 40 years and 60 years respectively, around that, right? So hip-hop about 40 years, ragga about 50 years, hip-hop about 40 years, and R&B about 60 years. Now compare those industries. We're talking producers, media exec, record execs, rappers, singers, you name it, marketing execs, promotion, TV executives, TV presenters, radio stations, that industry. Compare that, which has lasted 50 to 60 years, to jungle, UK house and garage, and funky house, which have lasted 5, 6, and around 3 years. Those industries have lasted years, generations, and the people in them have sustained those industries because they're making a living from it, and they pass it on to the next generation. Our music, this is an example I'm giving you, right? Doesn't last that long because we don't sustain it. And why don't we sustain it? Who contributes to its destruction? The very black men who benefit from it. So in the music scene, it was the black men doing the shooting and the stabbing and the beating and the robbing and so on and so forth, right? Behaving exactly the same way how Haye and Chisora behaved on Saturday. Defecating on an industry that was feeding them and will feed many that comes after them. Not knowing how to conduct business for the longevity of yourself and those that are coming after you, who you could be the manager or trainer of. We're crap at sustaining our industries. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but you're free to argue. This society is not going to employ black men en masse, so when we create an industry, we have to ring, fence it, and protect it. We will not be able to do that if we behave like we did in House and Garage, or how we behaved in Jungle, gun playing, or how Haye and Chisora behaved on Saturday night. We have to protect our business even when we don't like our opponent or competition. We have to think about the business, the longevity of what we are doing. The industry which feeds you is bigger than any beef you could have. This is something I picked up off the net. Let it reside with you, resonate with you. No one raindrop thinks it's responsible for the flood. No one raindrop thinks it's responsible for the flood. Finally, they say pressure builds character. I say pressure reveals character. On that note, I say control your thoughts and control your emotions, because if you don't, someone else or something else will control them for you. Probably a German manager of some boxers or an English manager of a boxer will control them for you. Or maybe your ego will control them for you. And I wish we receive everything we have earned. And it looks like Chisora is going to receive everything he's earned. Every warrior should really have a Jatiga. On that note, I leave you with the cleaner.
You can't go in on it because he will grill you.
And
he will
rip you
tear
to
you
shreds.
down.
That's right.
He's very clever too.
One of the greatest treasures in the world of righteous consciousness.